Okay, so we're going to work on some high tripod passing, and we're going to work on some follow-up passes from the high tripod. So we're going to work on a hip switch to side control using the Nearside Underhook. My uke is Marie Kennedy, newly promoted black belt.
Thanks, Karen.
We're in a half butterfly guard. Marie's doing a good job of using this top frame to kind of block my shoulders, kind of reinforcing it with her elbow. My goal is basically to create space between her elbow and her hip here. Right, there's different ways of doing this. I'm basically looking to get Marie, to get her shoulders and hips on the mat, and at the same time I'm getting my knee in towards her hip, and I'm taking a near side underhook while I'm kind of pinning her on this side here, and then this allows us to go into all our high tripod. So again, the goal is basically to get your training partner, get their top shoulder and their hip flat on the floor. So this kind of kills the butterfly hook, because obviously if their shoulder and hip is off the floor, and if I try to pass to this side, which I shouldn't really, her hips are loaded and she's able to kind of like elevate me and sweep me if I try pass on that side here. So my goal again is to get her shoulders and hips on the floor, create space between her elbow and her hip here. So there's a couple of different ways that we can do this. So one, I'm going to go with a wrist pin. I'm going to use my hand on her hip to push her hip on the floor, and I'm going to look to open up this space. Once this happens, I slide my left knee in towards her hip, I get her shoulder on the floor, and I get my chest and hips inside her butterfly hook here. Once Marie goes flat, head goes over the far shoulder, and I take this near side underhook, and then we can start going into our high tripod. So we'll just kind of do this a little bit faster. So again, she's a good strong kind of like knee shield here. I'm going to go with a wrist pin. I push the elbow away, so we're looking for separation. Knee goes across, and we get our near side underhook, and we can start to go into our high tripod pass. We're going to talk about some details on finishing the high tripod past the mount. So again, I'm monitoring this hip here. You can go with a thumb post, or you can kind of cup the back, whichever feels kind of better. I kind of find a thumb post is better for pushing this hip down towards the floor. So I'm getting the wrist pin, flaring the elbow to create separation between the elbow and the hip, and I'm going to put my knee inside, head chases the far shoulder with the goal in mind to get Marie flat, and then I use this to get a near side underhook here. So what I'm going to look to do in this position, obviously if your training partner has like say a crossface and it's going to be kind of like heavy on this, you can go an inside bicep tie, tuck your head, roll the head over the shoulder, and then we can use this hand to post here. The goal basically here is there's kind of different underhooks in that you can take. The one that I kind of find works really well, there's obviously like pros and cons to it, is going with palm facing up. So my left hand, what I'm going to do is slightly bring Marie over to her left side to now take her right shoulder off the mat. I go with a flat hand. I then put her shoulder and back on the floor, and I flare my elbow. My shoulder goes into Marie's neck here, and I'm using my head to take her head off the center line. So she's just like in a bit of a more of a weaker position. I'm going from my forehead to the crown of my head so I can get my hips high. I'm going to turn my knee on the side of the butterfly hook inwards here. So if Marie's kind of being a little bit more active with her butterfly hook, if I turn this in, this is going to be pretty hard. And then I can use this right hand to push down. We can slide into mount, take our double unders, and so on. So we'll do that one more time. So again, we make our way over into the high tripod position. If Marie has this crossface from bottom, she's kind of like using this to kind of create space and get like separation of chest to chest. All you're going to do is keep your head down low, pummel your hand inside, flare your elbow, roll her elbow up towards her shoulder, and then you roll your head over your training partner's shoulder here. I go a hand post. I then look to get my knees past Marie's hip line. All right. You can obviously go, we spoke about the underhook, you can go palm facing down. If you want to get used to just kind of like posting and balancing this position, if you're a little bit more comfortable in this position, I find locking in this underhook by taking your training partner's shoulder off the floor works really well. So especially if you go with a flat hand, put weight on it and flare your elbow. Again, shoulder goes under the chin, head takes your training partner's head off the center line, and now the goal is for my knees to pass my training partner's hip line the best I can. I go from my forehead to the crown of my head so I can lift my hips higher. If I keep my forehead on the mat, I can only lift my hips so high. If I get my crown of my head on the mat, now I'm going to lift my hips higher. Marie tries to elevate with the butterfly hook. It's a lot harder and it's easier for me to clear this hook and then pass into mount. For a follow-up pass, what we're going to do is we're going to work hip switch into side control when our partner's doing a good job of using this kind of like knee shield to stop us from passing into mount. So again, we get the wrist pin separation with the elbow. We're looking to put pressure on this hip down towards the floor. Thumb post is going to be a good option from here. I'm looking to get my knee inside. Once my knee starts to go inside, I get my underhook and I get my head over the far shoulder here. Again, I want to keep as much weight as I can on Marie's left side so I can kind of kill this butterfly hook. If Marie is cross facing me here, I can pummel this hand inside, flare my elbow, move Marie's elbow over the line of her shoulder, and I roll my head inwards where I can go for an underhook or a post. Post here is going to be a better option because the more base you have, obviously, the more control you're going to have and the harder it is for them to move. So I kind of do a shift on my right side to go with a flat hand, so we can go with palm facing up on the underhook. We lock it in by putting weight back on the hands. We flare the elbow, we get the shoulder into position, and we take our training partner's head off the center line. My knees are off the mat. I'm walking my feet up towards my training partner's hips. My knees should be past my training partner's hip line. I find here that when I'm trying to push this leg down, Marie's doing a good job of, like, say, using her hooks and just kind of like using the shield to stop me from, you know, gaining any advantage and stepping over into the mount. So if you find that maybe a bigger opponent or kind of legs are longer and it's hard to push it down, a really good option from here is we're basing on our right hand and our right foot. My left leg here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my calf behind Marie's hamstring. I'm going to kick my calf up, and at the same time I want to get Marie on her left shoulder and left hip so I can backstep into side control. So I'm keeping her pinned here with my knee on her hip. My right knee then goes into place. We get a near side underhook, and then we can start attacking from side control. So again, we're monitoring this hip, monitoring this hand here. The biggest kind of threat you're going to have when you're in this position a lot of time is your training partner attacking this left leg. It could be for leg locks, different types of guards and so on. So kind of monitor this hand here. So you can do this by using like a thumb post, keeping the head away, the arm, or underneath the armpit, or just going with this wrist pin, which works really well. So again, we move our way over, we manage to get our head inside, we get the underhook into place, and then we start to go into our high tripod. But Marie's doing a really good job here of using this kind of like knee shield or this butterfly hook to stop me from passing. All right, so what we're going to do basically is this left leg is light. We're moving the weight onto our right side. So you can see my weight is basically on my head, supported with my right hand and my right foot. So we're going to exaggerate this a little bit more. I'm going to shift the weight over to the right. I do this by bringing my calf up onto Marie's hamstring. The goal here is to basically get her onto her left hip and shoulder so I can backstep, move into side control, and then work from here.